Hi girls, welcome to our first vocab video. The purpose of this video is to help you hear some examples of how to use the words and also to hear their pronunciation. I would love it if you would take notes during this video. You can do that in the vocab section of your writing notebook. Obviously, you don't need to write down every word because you have the words already in your vocab book, so I would just suggest that you write down any examples that I use that you might find helpful. If at any time the video goes too quickly, please feel free to pause it so that you can catch the information that you missed. All right, let's get started. Our first word for vocab unit 1 is adulterate. It's a verb. It means to corrupt, make worse by the addition of something of lesser value. So you can see in this example I have a genetically modified tomato. The tomato, which is something that's super good for you, super healthy, has these chemicals being added to it so that it becomes less healthy. It's being adulterated by those chemicals. Sometimes I hear this word used in the form unadulterated to emphasize how good something is. So the chocolate was unadulterated pleasure, right? Meaning that it was pure pleasure, it was free of corruption. You'll notice also that this is a verb, and I used a pink card to help show you that. Our next word, ambidextrous, is an adjective, and that one's on yellow. So all the words are color-coded. Nouns are going to be green. So ambidextrous means able to use both hands equally well. It can also mean very skillful, and it can also mean deceitful or hypocritical. So you probably recognize the roots of both of these words. The prefix ambi means both. You'll recognize that from words like ambiguous. And then dexterous has to do with your hands, like you know about the word dexterity, which is your ability to move things around. I rarely hear this word used to describe deceitfulness. Usually that meaning is implied. An example of the use of ambidextrous could be that in baseball, pitchers fear ambidextrous batters because they can bat both ways. Here's your next word. It's augment. And we've got a really nice visual here, right? We've got some plumped up lips. It's a verb meaning to make larger or increase. A lot of times when we hear augment, it's used in kind of a negative way because it has to do with plumping something up or making it larger with filler, something that's not as good. But it can also be used more neutrally. I could try to augment my salary with a part-time job so that I earned more money. Our next word is an adjective, bereft. It means deprived of or made unhappy through a loss. A lot of the times bereft has to do with someone's death. You probably also know the words bereaved and bereavement, also which refer to death. You would not usually be bereft by the loss of something that's not very serious. For example, if I lost my cell phone, I wouldn't be bereft. I would just be like annoyed. More properly, you would be bereft by the loss of a grandparent. As a noun, you can refer to the bereaved. That's the person who suffered the loss. It's often a synonym for the widow or widower. So our next word for today is deploy, which is a verb. It means to position or arrange, to utilize, or to form up. Usually I hear this word used one of two ways. Usually it refers to either military troops, so troops are deployed to various parts of the world, or it refers to strategy, like I deployed this particular move in a chess game. So it has to do with that kind of strategic arrangement. You wouldn't deploy your bedroom if you were moving the furniture around. Our next word is dour, and I have a little picture of Grumpy Cat for you because he personifies dourness. It has to do with, it means stern, unyielding, gloomy, or ill humor. It reminds me of the word sour, and they kind of mean the same thing except for that dour always refers to somebody's mood. Oftentimes you'll hear spinsters portrayed as dour in literature. Our next word is fortitude. It's a noun, and it means courage in facing difficulties. So people have fortitude. You could have fortitude in a volleyball game in the face of your opponents, or you could have fortitude in the face of something more serious, like cancer. I would imagine that if you were a deployed soldier, you would also have to have fortitude. People who are bereft also probably need fortitude to carry on with their lives. Our next word is gape, which is a verb, and it means to stare with mouth open, to open the mouth wide, or just to open wide. So here's an example, Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, very famously gaping. But it could also be like the door gaped open or the mouth of the cave gaped open ominously. So it refers to things that are left open that are kind of cave or mouth-like, I should say, like a door or a cave or things of that nature. I guess you could say that your fly gaped open if you forgot to zip it up. Okay, our next word is jibe, which is a verb and it means to utter taunting words, but it can also be a noun, as in the expression of scorn. So I have both examples for you here. We've got George Costanza with his insult on the left, and then we have this ugly, scornful look from Clint Eastwood. They both really describe the same thing, these kind of taunting, scornful ideas, and one is just the action and the other is the expression that accompanies it. Our next word is guise, and it means a mask or an external appearance or a cover, and it's really easy to remember because it sounds like disguise. If you were in disguise, you might be wearing a mask, which is a guise. So someone who's trying to play a trick on you could wear the guise of friendship, if we're going to use it in the sense of a cover or a fake appearance. Or someone who wants to fit in could wear a normal seeming guise. They could try to appear like everyone else. Our next word is insidious, an adjective meaning intended to deceive or entrap, sly or treacherous. And here's Mr. Burns saying, wah ha ha. This word has to do with tricking someone. So it can either refer to the action of trying to trick someone, so the insidious fake ID card, or it could refer to the person doing the tricking, the insidious, corrupt police officer. Our next word is intimation, and remember that second T because otherwise it's like intimacy. And it means a hint. It's something that you do to suggest something that you want without really saying the thing that you want. So you've all probably done this around your birthday. You might start to mention that you could really use a new phone, or wouldn't life be so much easier if we had an extra car so I could drive myself to school? It allows someone else, in this case maybe your parents, to help you get what you really want. Our next word is opulent, an adjective meaning wealthy, luxurious, ample, or grandiose. It's like over the top wealthy. It's like so much wealth you are sick of it. Perhaps the Kardashians have an opulent lifestyle. So too might the wives of the Real Housewives. Our next word is pliable, which means easily flexible or easily bent, flexible, or also easily influenced. So here we've got an example of a dancer who's incredibly pliable. But it could also mean easily influenced in the sense of during the election, swing voters are very pliable, and so politicians try to influence their votes. Next we come to reiterate, which is a noun, which means to say again or repeat. Here we've got two toucans who are ready to reiterate whatever it is you might say. Sometimes as a teacher, I often feel that I reiterate myself too much. Next we come to stolid, an adjective meaning not easily moved, mentally or emotionally. It can also mean dull or unresponsive. So to me, this word sounds a lot like solid, which could mean hard to move, right, because it's very heavy. But this has to do with being unmoving because of emotional or intellectual gaps or lacks. So the Grinch is stolid because his heart is too small. He can't appreciate the joy of being together around Christmas. And Patrick from SpongeBob is stolid because he's so dumb. Next we come to tentative, which is an adjective as well, meaning experimental in nature, uncertain or hesitant. So here we have an example of a baby trying to take his first step. He's really tentative because he's unsure of himself. You could, at this stage in your academic career, you probably have a tentative career plan, or you might tentatively know where you will apply to college. You have ideas, but you're not really sure, and those ideas could change in the future. And then we come to unkempt, an adjective, and it means not combed, untidy, not properly maintained, unpolished, or rude. A lot of the times this refers to someone's appearance, so you could say that some prez girls have an unkempt appearance, especially when they're not in informal uniform. Not that I'm going to name any names or anything. It could also refer to someone's manners, so he ate in a slovenly, unkempt manner, spilling food everywhere. And then our final word this week is verbatim, an adjective. You've probably heard this one before. It means word for word, exactly as written or spoken. So here we've got Bart Simpson getting his principal to write the same phrase over, verbatim, word for word. Oh, I lied. We've got one more word this week. Warily. This is an adverb, so it's our only adverb this week, meaning it describes an action. It means cautiously or with great care. So this word is a lot like tentative, which has to do with being uncertain about oneself, but it describes the action. So this dog looks warily at his owner. All right, girls, that's the end of Vocab Unit 1. I hope this video helps you to understand and to use our vocabulary words. Thanks, girls.